Hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. Here we are, the workbook for students of A Course in Miracles. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, baby. Where else? Where else would you be right now? We're on lesson 176. So, as you know, we're in the midst of a review period here where we have an opportunity that is unique. It's unique in any curriculum, be it school, university, scholastic, maybe it's a certification course that we take as adults, or this course that we most certainly take as adults. Now, had I been ready at age 13 for ACIM, I certainly would have jumped on it, but I wasn't. And I also wasn't ready for it at 22. Yeah, those were fun parties, though. Anyway, I digress, right? Where we are as adults is we have the opportunity to learn. We take lessons, we take instruction, we practice, and then we review. We review to enhance our understanding, to make our understanding greater. And sometimes we forget. I mean, if we've forgotten who we are, truly our identity, in other words, if we've chosen to forget who we really are, then certainly we can draw a short-term memory blank, can't we? And need, in fact, really need to go back and look at different ideas again. The cool thing about the review here in A Course in Miracles, the workbook is strewn with them as you're experiencing, and there will be several more. Count on that for sure. We can see things with a different light as we go back a second time, or perhaps a third or a fourth time. Many of you, I'm sure, have been through the workbook more than once in your lifetime. That includes me. I've done this too. And I really have always found it helpful to go back and look at ideas with a new light. It's a different day today. You're a different person than you were 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, or 4 years ago, or whenever it was that you first ran into this idea, or if you've run into it several times, when you last ran into the idea. So, as always, during this review period, we begin with some contemplation, absorption, call it what you want, with considering the idea, God is but love, and therefore so am I. Yes, God is but love, and therefore so am I. And we sit with that one. And I invite you to, if you'd like, pause this video. If you're using this to help you as an assist to your practice, feel welcome to pause and contemplate that beautiful statement of truth, as long as you like. God is but love, and therefore so am I. Now, lesson 176 reviews lessons 161 and 162 today in the workbook for students. And lesson 161 is a beautiful review. We'll go back and look at a way to practice this from the workbook. Anyway, lesson 161 is Give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. You, give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. A political figure in an opposition party, give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. Someone that you don't like, you don't agree with, give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. Your own family, give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. See where we're going with this. This can and should be applied to anyone. Give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. Why do we do this? We're one with all of our brothers and sisters, with every living thing. This is how God creates. It's how we're created. It's unitary, one. The differences are, well, literally, if you prefer to look at it this way, superficial. In terms of ultimate truth, they're non-existent. Here in the world, of course, where we're having our different perceptions, we see our appearances completely differently. And when you consider that our external world is a reflection of what's going on in our inner world, in other words, it's showing us what's in our own minds. When you consider that, and when you allow that to really, really hit home for you, this makes sense. Our oneness makes sense, and our confusion here in the world also makes sense. We've literally made a mistake. That's what the ego is. It is not a mortal enemy to be conquered, slain, and vanquished. It's not something to be kicked in the face, despite the popular prominence of the saying, kick fear in the face. Well, if that works for you, great. I hope that you may derive some inspiration and some benefit and some fortitude from that. The ego can simply be set aside. It's not a mortal enemy. It's not an opponent. This does mean, guys, we have no opponent. It's simply a mistake to be laid aside. So when we see our brothers and sisters, other people struggling in the world, when we see them and hear them and feel them, indeed feel them, lashing out, condemning, blaming, what's the appropriate response for us? Forgiveness, the extension of love. Remember that all behavior, everything that someone does, everything that someone says, and indeed everything that someone thinks is either the extension of love or it is a call for love. It's a cry for help. Yeah. Again, we can liken this to a small child, say a toddler that's seeking attention, right? A 4 or 5-year-old doesn't care how they get attention typically. And at 2 or 3, they absolutely don't care how they get attention. They just want it. They know that they want it and they need it and have this deep craving for it. So if they do something good, they'll get attention. If they do something bad, they'll get attention. It's a call for love, with attention being symbolic to them of love. The same with adults. A hostile figure out there, let's say a political figure who bashes other groups of people on social media, for example, demonizes them, blames them for an entire country's problems. What's the appropriate response to this person who's issuing a blatant and obvious call for love? Like it or not, the response is to extend love, forgiveness, as it is described and practiced here in A Course in Miracles. That's a miracle. That is the answer. It is the answer. It is the practice. Now, if you're not able to forgive a worldwide political figure who has a global spotlight and, good or bad, shines light on themselves, that's all right. As always, I invite you to give yourself a break and some grace, just as I always do with people going through the workbook and forgetting to practice on a given day or 2 or 7. It's okay. It's okay. You just kind of, when you realize that you're off doing something else, just bring your attention back. This is like a living, breathing, walking, lifelong meditation, if you prefer to think of it that way. or a lifelong yoga practice where when you find yourself in a particular position and you find that you're really off and not focused and not concentrating and wandering, just to bring your awareness back to that position, right? It's a living, breathing, waking meditation. So give yourself some grace, please. Yeah, please do that. And start where you are. There's tremendous wisdom in that phrase. Start with what you're capable of when it comes to forgiveness. Forgive yourself, by all means. Forgive the dog if the dog licks your face and their breath smells nasty. Forgive the dog. They were just giving you love, after all. To them, their breath smells great, I'm sure. Yeah. So forgive things that may seem smaller to you. One doesn't have to forgive really, really, really prominent political figures. One doesn't have to forgive global dictators, historical dictators, right away. We start with what we're able to do, and we build from there. And why is that important? Because miracles are all alike. It doesn't matter if they appear really tiny or monumental, they're the same. They're exactly the same. It's a shift from fear to love. How much greater could you possibly be? Yeah. Give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. It's acknowledging our oneness. It's acknowledging the power of forgiveness. It's acknowledging our own status as miracle workers. And it's not really a status in the worldly sense, as in a hierarchical status where I'm the boss of you or you're the boss of me, and we have to do what each other says or else we're fired or something like that. It's not that kind of status. It's our identity. It's our reality. The reality is we are the Son of God. So as you extend your blessing, you receive blessing. So give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. And then in practicing the idea, we again return to the common idea throughout these 10 lessons here, the review lessons. God is but love, and therefore so am I. And lesson 162, I am as God created me. Think of the power of that statement. Think of the truth of that statement. And when you allow this into your life, into your heart, into your mind, when you allow this to simply be as it is a statement of truth and tremendous joy, boundlessness, limitlessness, constant happiness. I am as God created me. Love can only extend itself. So if you've not done the verbal math here in A Course in Miracles up to this point, I invite you to do that now. Love extends only itself. God extends only himself, or if you prefer herself, itself, themselves. Those are just words, after all. Truth is beyond words, it's beyond language. We simply use it here in the world to communicate with each other. The language is just a tool for us. It's a series of symbols that we've strewn together and we agree mean certain things, that's all. Love is not capable of doing anything other than extending itself. We are as God created us. Now, a very important point here in A Course in Miracles that's made in the text in several places, and it is very, very, very important, is that we acknowledge the authorship, the fatherhood of God. God created us. We did not create God. So another way of looking at the saying, God created us in his own image, like extends like, love can only extend itself. We are as God created us, with all of his power, joy, radiance, boundlessness, limitlessness, love, happiness, everything. We are everything. And in fact, the Course is very explicit in saying we are the will of God. It's very powerful to say, I am as God created me. We're acknowledging our own power. We're also acknowledging the authorship of God. Now, why is this important? Well, because the ego wants to usurp that. How many of you have had the experience of thinking to yourself as you go through this material that, well, God didn't create me. No, I can't accept that. I created myself. I did this. So that, of course, is the ego talking. And it's just one of the many ways that the ego will employ to try to get you to side with it. And again, it's not an opponent. It's not anything other than a simple mistake to be laid aside. So I invite you, for as long as you want to and can or must today, to sit with the idea that I am as God created me. And when you feel complete, sit again with the idea that God is but love, and therefore so am I. This is lesson 176. Beautiful. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, thank you so much for your practice. I'll see you again soon.